Take a look around you. Our world today is obsessed with more stuff, more experiences, more options, more upgrades. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us that happiness is just one purchase away, one acquisition from true contentment. What if the secret to true contentment isn't found in acquiring more, but in desiring less? What if genuine freedom and profound peace come not from what you add to your life, but from what you learn to release? We work longer hours, chase bigger salaries, fill our homes, and endlessly scroll through feeds of things we should have, only to find that despite all this accumulation, the feeling of satisfaction remains elusive. Instead, we often find ourselves feeling stressed, overwhelmed, burdened by debt, and trapped in a never-ending cycle of wanting more. Does this resonate with you? Do you ever feel weighed down by your possessions, or exhausted by the endless pursuit of the next big thing? This isn't some modern trend or fleeting fad. This is a radical, liberating philosophy born over to millennia ago, yet more relevant now than ever before. The ancient Stoics understood deeply that true wealth isn't measured in possessions, but in self-sufficiency, inner peace, and freedom from desires that bind us. You'll have a clear path to finding genuine satisfaction, not in the pursuit of more, but in the profound power of less. So, let's begin our journey to minimalist living, the Stoic way. More money, a bigger house, a fancier car, the latest gadgets. These are presented as the keys to happiness and fulfillment. But the Stoics, observing human nature with keen insight, offered a radically different perspective. External possessions are indifferent. In this comprehensive guide, we'll dive deep into wealth, poverty, health, illness, reputation, obscurity. These things are outside of our direct control and do not, in themselves, determine our virtue or our happiness. They were not ascetics in the modern sense. They understood that certain externals, like health and a moderate amount of wealth, are preferred indifference. They are generally preferable to their opposites, and they can make the practice of virtue easier. We constantly worry about losing them, about not getting enough, or about how to acquire more. How much mental energy do you spend thinking about it, maintaining it, or worrying about it? What would change if you viewed it as a temporary loan from the universe, something you appreciate while you have it but aren't dependent on for your happiness? This anxiety, this endless striving, steals our peace and freedom. The Stoic path to contentment, therefore, is not about becoming a pauper. These are desires for things beyond basic survival: luxury, status, symbols, entertainment, constant upgrades, convenience at any cost. We are conditioned to believe these wants are needs, and that fulfilling them will bring lasting happiness. They desire a bigger house, a nicer car, more expensive vacations. Is this truly a need, essential for my well-being and the practice of virtue? Or is it a want, a preference, a luxury that, if unfulfilled, will not diminish my core happiness or character? Their wants have simply escalated to match their income, leaving them in the same state of perpetual striving and dissatisfaction. When we understand that most of our worries and stresses come from the pursuit of wants rather than the satisfaction of needs, we can consciously choose to reduce our wants. This is the essence of minimalist living from a Stoic perspective. Not just having fewer possessions, but desiring fewer possessions. It's a mental shift, an internal liberation from the tyranny of endless craving. It's a deliberate, temporary practice of foregoing certain comforts or conveniences to strengthen your resilience. I appreciate what you have and test your true dependence on external things. Seneca famously encouraged this, writing, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest when you voluntarily choose a lesser comfort." You teach yourself that you are capable of enduring, and that your happiness isn't shattered by inconvenience. This makes you more robust when actual, unavoidable hardships arise. And cheap is fair, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, "Is this the condition that I feared?" This breaks the cycle of complacency and helps you recognize the abundance you already possess. It reminds you that what you often consider normal is, in fact, a luxury. This is the hedonic treadmill. We adapt to new levels of comfort and then immediately desire the next. Are you genuinely unhappy without your morning coffee? Or is it just a habit? Can you survive a day without your smartphone? Or does anxiety take over? This practice reveals your attachments and allows you to weaken their grip, making you freer. This differentiation is a cornerstone of Stoic minimalism and a direct path to contentment. They are small, manageable discomforts that provide a powerful psychological benefit. Each time you successfully engage in voluntary discomfort, you send a clear message to your own mind. I am stronger than my desires. For the next 24 hours, or even a full week, try to go without it. It could be hot showers, your favorite snack, using an elevator, or constant social media checking. At the end of the period, reflect. What did you learn? How did it make you feel? Did you truly need it as much as you thought? This exercise is incredibly enlightening and empowering. My happiness does not depend on external things. I can be content with less. You realize that your happiness is an internal construct, a product of your character and your choices, not your possessions. Pause and ask, is this a true need or is it a want? You can still appreciate beauty, enjoy experiences, and use resources, but you do so without clinging to them. You hold them lightly, knowing they are temporary and can be taken away. This understanding makes you remarkably resilient to change and loss. Freedom from the anxiety of wanting more. Freedom from the fear of loss. You realize you don't need all the things you think you do, and that profound contentment can be found even in simplicity, or even in the absence of perceived necessities. When a recession hits or their business fails, their entire world crumbles. Contrast this with the Stoic, who understands that while a financial setback is a dispreferred indifferent, it does not diminish their virtue, their reason, or their capacity for inner peace. Their tranquility remains largely intact because its foundation is internal. The more we desire, the more vulnerable we become to disappointment, frustration, freedom from the endless cycle of consumerism. It could be clothes, gadgets, social media likes, or even specific foods. For the next few days, consciously try to detach from that desire. Remind yourself that your happiness does not depend on it. Observe the feeling of craving, but do not act on it. Notice the sense of liberation that comes from letting go. And this freedom is the direct path to profound, lasting tranquility. When you are content with what you have, and when your inner peace is not contingent on external things, you become truly rich, truly free, and profoundly at ease in a world that constantly pulls in the opposite direction. An anxiety when those desires are not met or when the things we possess are threatened or lost. This is how you actively train for the power of less. Don't judge, just observe. Notice how many of your daily desires fall into the want category. Simply becoming aware of this distinction is the first powerful step towards gaining control over your desires and finding contentment with less. But about becoming indifferent to possessions, understanding that your true worth and happiness reside within you, completely independent of your material circumstances. If your peace depends on a certain level of income, you will be in constant fear of financial setbacks. These external dependencies are fragile and fleeting. For the Stoics, tranquility was not the absence of external challenges, but the absence of internal disturbance. A calm, undisturbed state of mind, regardless of external circumstances. This is the first step in understanding the power of less. You are no longer controlled by external temptations or societal pressures. Your contentment comes from within, from appreciating what you already have, which, for most of us in the modern world, is far beyond basic needs. He wasn't a hypocrite. He understood that the possession of wealth was less important than his attitude towards it. The more wants we accumulate, the more opportunities we create for internal disturbance. Seneca wisely observed, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The Stoics had a powerful, practical method. Voluntary discomfort. Our poverty, then, is often a poverty of perspective, a relentless hunger for what we don't possess. He famously said, "If you wish to make a man rich, do not add to his money but subtract from his desires." It's often easier to be charitable if you have resources, or to study if you are not constantly battling illness. The only true good is virtue, which resides entirely within our character and our choices. These are essential for survival and for living a life conducive to practicing virtue. When these fundamental needs are met, true contentment becomes possible. Your happiness and meaning are found in your character, in your virtue, in your responses to what life gives you, not in the external things you possess. The Stoic view of wealth. Why external possessions are indifferent and true riches lie within. Our dissatisfaction doesn't come from having too little in an absolute sense, but from always desiring more than we have. It's a fundamental mismatch between our external circumstances and our internal state of craving. The person who desires nothing more than what they have is, by Stoic definition, truly rich. The person who has everything but constantly craves more is, despite their material abundance, deeply impoverished in their spirit. Needs versus wants. How clarity on this distinction frees us from endless craving. Voluntary discomfort. The powerful practice of embracing less to appreciate more. The pursuit of tranquility. How detaching from materialism leads to profound contentment. Practical steps. How to integrate these timeless principles into your modern life for greater freedom and satisfaction. By the end of this video, you won't just look at your possessions differently. You'll look at your desires differently. Part 1. The illusion of more. The Stoic view of wealth. Our society is largely built on the premise that more equals better. What does it mean for something to be indifferent in Stoicism? It means it is neither inherently good nor inherently bad. This doesn't mean the Stoics believed you should actively pursue poverty or reject all comforts. However, the crucial distinction is this. While preferred, these externals are never essential for true happiness or a meaningful life. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, was himself a very wealthy man. Yet he constantly wrote about the dangers of wealth and the importance of detaching from it. They understood that every unfulfilled want creates a feeling of lack, a sense of For a brief period, they feel happy, but then their needs expand. This quote gets to the heart of the Stoic approach to more. When we cling to wealth, status, or possessions, we become slaves to them. Practical application. Take a moment to reflect on your relationship with one significant possession you own. Part 2, Needs vs. Wants. The liberating distinction. Building on the idea of wealth as an indifferent, the Stoics developed a powerful framework for dissecting our desires. The clear distinction between needs and wants. Our basic human needs are few: food, water, shelter, rest, and perhaps a minimal amount of clothing. However, society, advertising, and our own unexamined impulses constantly create an endless parade of wants. The Stoics knew better. Consider the person who earns a significant raise. The Stoic approach to this treadmill is to simply step off it. It's about consciously and rationally examining our desires and categorizing them. By clearly distinguishing between needs and wants, we gain immense clarity and freedom. When you master your wants, you become truly independent. Practical application. For one day, try to consciously observe every time you feel a desire for something. Part 3. Voluntary discomfort. The training ground for freedom. If the power of less is about detaching from excess and distinguishing needs from wants, how do we actively train ourselves for this kind of freedom? This isn't about self-punishment or asceticism for its own sake. The purpose of voluntary discomfort is threefold. To build resilience. Just as lifting weights builds physical muscle, intentionally exposing yourself to minor discomforts builds your mental and emotional fortitude. To cultivate gratitude and appreciation. When you occasionally deprive yourself of things you take for granted, a warm shower, a comfortable bed, your favorite food, you suddenly appreciate them profoundly when you return to them. To test your independence from externals. By intentionally giving up something you usually enjoy, you discover how truly dependent you are on it. Examples of voluntary discomfort in a modern context could be taking a cold shower, walking instead of driving, or taking public transport for a short distance, eating a simple, repetitive meal for a day or two, going without coffee or a sugary snack, turning off your smartphone for an extended period, sleeping on a firmer surface or without your favorite pillow. These are not meant to be extreme, life-threatening. This regular practice fundamentally shifts your relationship with comfort and possessions. Practical application. Identify one small, non-essential comfort or convenience you rely on daily. Part 4. The pursuit of tranquility. Detachment is freedom. The ultimate goal of this Stoic approach to less is not merely a minimalist aesthetic, but a deeper, more profound state. Tranquility. How does the power of less lead to tranquility? By systematically detaching ourselves from external things that are outside our control. Our desires are the chains that bind us. If your happiness depends on having the latest phone, you will be disturbed when a new model comes out, or when your current one breaks. When you practice the power of less, by distinguishing needs from wants, by reducing your attachments, by embracing voluntary discomfort, you systematically dismantle these dependencies. This detachment isn't about apathy or indifference to the world. It's about intelligent engagement with the world. Consider the person whose entire identity and happiness are tied to their material success. The power of less is therefore a powerful engine for freedom. Practical application. Identify one area in your life where you feel a strong attachment or a constant desire for more. Part 5. Practical steps to cultivate contentment and minimalism. So, how do we integrate this Stoic wisdom into our modern lives to truly experience the power of less and achieve lasting contentment? It involves consistent, intentional practice. One of the only essentials: audit. For each item or category, ask yourself, is this truly a need for my survival and the practice of virtue, or is it a want? Be brutally honest. You don't have to throw everything out, but simply identifying the distinction illuminates where your desires are leading you. This audit can extend to your time and energy as well. Are you spending them on needs or wants? Walk through your home or review your typical daily expenses. Do not immediately assent to the thought, I need that. Instead, ask, is this desire rational? Will acquiring this truly make me happier or more virtuous in the long run? Is this just another want masquerading as a need? This pause creates space for a rational thought over an impulsive craving. Ask yourself if it genuinely aligns with your values and contributes to a life of virtue. Reflect on the fragility of possessions. Avoid impulse purchases. When you bring something new into your life, consider letting go of something old. This conscious approach prevents accumulation and reinforces the idea of intentional living. 2. Practice the less is more mindset daily. Before making a purchase, ask, do I truly need this, or is this just a fleeting want? By accepting this reality, you reduce your attachment to them. You appreciate them while you have them, but you don't let their potential loss disturb your inner peace. Your happiness is not contingent on their continued existence. Giving to others, especially those less fortunate, reinforces the idea that material things are merely tools to be used, not ends in themselves. It connects you to the virtue of justice and reinforces the understanding that your true wealth lies in your character, not your coffers. Will this add genuine value, or just more clutter and anxiety. It's found in the quiet wisdom of ancient philosophy, in learning to look within, and in cultivating the power of less. Your true riches are already yours. Your reason, your character, your capacity for virtue, and your ability to be content with sufficiency. Before taking on a new commitment, ask, is this essential, or will it dilute my focus and energy? Can you cook a simpler meal? Can you wear a simpler outfit? Can you simplify your schedule? Consciously opt for simplicity whenever possible. 3. The power of the pause. Notice any cravings, any resistance, and then notice the subtle sense of liberation and gratitude that emerges. And I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me one act of voluntary discomfort you're going to try this week, and what you hope to learn from it. Let's embrace the power of less together. This is your personal training for true freedom and lasting contentment. When a new desire arises, perhaps from an advertisement or seeing what someone else has, pause. Cultivate gratitude for what you have. It's about living an intentional, deeply satisfying life, where your contentment comes from within, from appreciating what you have, and from being free from the endless cycle of wanting more. May you find true contentment in the profound power of less. It's about recognizing that the power of less isn't about scarcity, but about abundance, an abundance of peace, freedom, and genuine satisfaction. A powerful antidote to wanting more is deeply appreciating what you already possess. Spend time each day reflecting on the simple things you have. Clean water, a warm bed, food, the ability to walk, the people in your life. The Stoics would often reflect on how many people lack what they have. This cultivates profound contentment, not based on external circumstances, but on conscious appreciation. 5. Mindful consumption. If you do acquire something new, do so mindfully. 6. Your possessions can break, be lost, or be taken away. Seneca encouraged reflecting on the impermanence of all things. 7. Give generously. Paradoxically, one of the best ways to detach from possessions is to give them away. We've now journeyed through the profound Stoic approach to minimalism and contentment. We've discovered that true wealth is found not in accumulating more, but in reducing our desires and mastering our internal world. Distinguishing between needs and wants is a liberating act that frees us from endless striving. Voluntary discomfort is a powerful training ground for resilience, gratitude, and independence from externals. And ultimately, detaching from material pursuits leads to profound tranquility and a freedom that no amount of external possession can buy. This isn't about living an austere or deprived life. The path to contentment isn't found on a shopping spree or in chasing the next big trend. So, here's your challenge. Your first step towards embracing the power of less. Choose one small act of voluntary discomfort to practice for the next 24 hours, or even this entire week, and share it with someone who might be feeling trapped by the pursuit of more. Maybe it's going without a non-essential comfort you usually rely on. Perhaps it's abstaining from a particular indulgence you often crave. Or it could be a deliberate choice to simplify one aspect of your day. Commit to this small act. If this video has resonated with you, if you feel even a glimmer of inspiration, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more insights into timeless wisdom for modern life. Thank you for joining me on this journey.